Whoa! Congratulations to Uzbekistan for qualifying for the World Cup. The country with some of the most stunning architecture, home of plov, and being the only double landlocked country that did not lose to San Marino. So by the time this video is uploaded, Uzbekistan will qualify for the World Cup. However, at the time of this recording, nothing is confirmed yet. This video has been saved as private and will be public as soon as the amazing news comes.
Playing 4D chess.
Playing with my time a bit here if this fails, but I know it won't, because this country's rise in football has been sensational. And it is such incredible news, as this is the first ever time Uzbekistan will play in the World Cup. But obviously, since I'm recording this before it happens, I don't actually know how they ended up qualifying this time around. It could have been them sealing the deal against the UAE or Qatar. Or maybe they bottled both of those and did it in the 4th round. I am beyond happy for this nation because they suffered too much heartbreak in previous World Cup qualifier campaigns. This national team is relatively young as well, only playing their first international match in 1992. Obviously because prior they were part of the Soviet Union, but they got officially approved by FIFA and the AFC in 1994. The first proper tournament they played in was the 1994 Asian Games, and there they already made an instant impact in the world of football. Grouped with Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Malaysia, and Hong Kong, they topped their group, scoring 15 goals, even embarrassing Saudi Arabia. They then went on to dominate Turkmenistan in the quarterfinals, and it looked to be over in the semis as they had to face Korea, who just defeated Japan. This South Korea side also had their World Cup lineup they just fielded the same year. But despite this, Uzbekistan did not lose any sight or belief, and they pulled off the 1-0 upset. They made it to the final and defeated China 4-2 to win their first and only silverware in football. Uzbekistan have also qualified for every single Asian Cup that they could since the national team was formed. It's the most prestigious tournament within the Confederation, which many have never even participated in. But in the World Cup specifically, their first attempt to qualify was in 1998. They immediately made such a fascinating mark, going undefeated in the first round in a group with Yemen, Indonesia, and Cambodia. However, in the second round, they had a similar record with their neighbors Kazakhstan, only picking up 1 win. It's still very impressive as they did not have many expectations to begin with. And Uzbekistan showed that they had some spark and desire to achieve even more heights in the world of football. The 2002 campaign saw even more promising signs for the nation, topping the first round of groups once again undefeated, only to then be just 1 point short of second place UAE, who advanced to the 3rd round. Not long after the next Asian Cup in 2004, they topped their group undefeated to make it to the quarterfinals, but lost to Bahrain on penalties there. And unfortunately, this nation continued to haunt them in the 2006 World Cup qualifier campaign. Uzbekistan, for a 3rd time in a row now in World Cup qualification, topped the first round of groups undefeated, but in the next round they finished 3rd, which put them in a 4th round spot to play the other 3rd place winner from the other group, and the winner would go to the Intercontinental Playoffs. Well, of course, it had to be Bahrain once again, and this fixture finished in a lot of controversy. The 4th round match was over 2 legs, and Uzbekistan won the first match 1-0. But a huge refereeing mistake happened where Uzbekistan were supposed to be awarded a penalty. After it was scored, the referee disallowed the goal and offered an indirect free kick to Bahrain. The Uzbekistan FA were obviously furious and requested for the match to finish in a 3-0 automatic victory for such a horrible error. However, instead, FIFA completely stripped the 1 goal they legitimately earned, and the match was ordered to be replayed. In that replay, it finished 1-1, and in that second leg traveling to Bahrain, it was goalless, so Bahrain advanced to the 4th round off of away goals. It was extremely unfortunate for Uzbekistan to be put in that position as well, as this was their perfect opportunity to qualify. Bahrain played Trinidad and Tobago next from CONCACAF and lost, so Trinidad ended up being the debutant that year. Anyway, in the 2010 qualification campaign, they kept that first round of group streak strong. Their first time not being undefeated by the end, but still took first over Saudi Arabia, sharing points with them. The next round of groups though, last place with just 1 win against Qatar, Bahrain had to haunt them again to clinch that playoff round spot. Spoiler, they failed again. But Uzbekistan continued to never let these shortcomings define them and continued to impress in World Cup qualification. In 2014, they were put in a first round group with Japan and still went undefeated. Japan picked up 2 losses in this round but still advanced to the next round. Despite having Japan in this group, they finished with the best record out of any of the teams in this round in particular. But in that next round is probably when Uzbekistan suffered the most heartbreak. They finished 3rd to advance to the playoff round, but tied on points with South Korea, where Korea ended up qualifying for the World Cup immediately instead of them by just 1 goal difference. Even Iran, who finished first 2 points ahead, had the same amount of losses as them both. It was such a close race. Their only 2 defeats finished 1-0 as well to the stronger teams in the group, and one of them was in the final international break of this round. Uzbekistan still had a chance to redeem themselves in the final match day, did everything they could to separate to catch up on that goal difference against Qatar, but were obviously unsuccessful at the end. Thankfully, Uzbekistan did not have to face Bahrain in the playoffs once again, This time it was Jordan. Both sides could not be separated in each of the legs as it finished in a 1-1 draw in both occurrences, so it had to go to penalties. It dragged on for quite some time, but eventually Uzbekistan missed their second kick, and Jordan advanced to the Intercontinental Playoffs only to get annihilated by Uruguay. This was probably the worst of them all, considering how close it was for them to reach an automatic spot to even avoid the playoff position. But despite how terrible that was, that doesn't mean the heartbreak didn't continue. For the tournament in Russia for 2018, without any surprise, topped that first group. Their only loss was surprisingly 4-2 to North Korea though. But in the next round, they didn't just fall short to Iran and South Korea once again, they also got blown away from a playoff spot, sharing points with Syria. Props to Syria though, they went toe-to-toe with Australia in that playoff round, and could have qualified for their first ever World Cup themselves. After all of these shortcomings in World Cup qualification though, it seems like it finally got to Uzbekistan. They saw their worst ever campaign for the 2022 tournament, for the first ever time not getting first place in that first group phase, and also for the first time picking up more than one loss there. They picked up 3 and fell short to the dominant Saudi Arabia. They're one of the worst second place teams, which didn't grant them entry to that next group round. Definitely was a bit of a shock though, as this national team was only building from here, with the likes of Shomurodov making it into the scene. But nevertheless, Uzbekistan seemed to have heavily fallen under the pressure. Their most common nickname is the White Wolves, but are often referred to as Asian Italy, due to their love of defensive football and often representing the national team in blue. But in all honesty, their biggest resemblance to Italy is missing out on multiple World Cups in recent times. After all these heartbreaks and close attempts though, you have to feel so happy that this nation have finally done it. And it just shows that they were always a warrior in the world of football, just were never really able to prove themselves outside of Asia. We've been hearing about how 2025 is the season of miracles, with so many clubs breaking their trophy droughts. But I think Uzbekistan finally qualifying for the World Cup deserves to be in this list as well. Uzbekistan could not deserve it more for all of their impressive efforts since becoming a national team. Here's what the group's looking like right now at the exact time of this recording, before they officially qualified for the World Cup. Second with 17 points, Iran have already qualified. Uzbekistan's only loss so far was to Qatar, which did end very controversial as well, with 12 additional minutes of added time for them to score the winner. Anyway, they just need a draw to the UAE or defeat Qatar on this final international break. And obviously, if you're seeing this video in June, they did not bottle one of those occurrences at least. If they do though, the UAE is running away with that second place spot, and Uzbekistan will have to battle it out in the later rounds again. Along with the expansion of the tournament, they also hold one of the best squads we have seen the nation possess. Their captain Shomurodov does not have the craziest numbers in his Serie A journey over the past 5 seasons, but he is the country's all-time goal scorer with 41 goals in 80 caps. Faizolev absolutely balled out in the last Asian Cup tournament. His technical ability and versatility will be key for Uzbekistan to thrive in years to come. He is only 21 still and has a high ceiling ahead. He helped guide Uzbekistan to their first ever U20 Asian Cup title and was named the tournament's most valuable player. Currently playing in CSKA Moscow, he will surely earn a big club move soon. But someone who already made that big move is their defender Hushunov. The most valuable player on the national team just made his big move to Manchester City, and he's also only 21. Crazy to think that only 2 years ago he was playing in Belarus. A quick transfer to Lens, and his immediate talent had Pep Guardiola's club interested. He is exceptionally fast for a center back and is one of the national team's most aggressive players. Not just that, but his one-on-one defending and ability to read the game. Despite his poor debut for Manchester City against Chelsea, where he misplaced the header, he earned the Etihad Player of the Month award after 5 weeks for bouncing back perfectly, covering some of the best attackers wonderfully in the Premier League. These are 3 standout players for sure, but there are so many other hidden gems. For example, their goalkeeper Yusupov. He plays club football in Iran, but over half of the matches he's played in for the national team resulted in clean sheets. So not only have this side finally achieved the biggest heights to qualify for the World Cup, they can also be a serious threat at the tournament itself. One of the most organized sides in Asia right now, they were destined to finally make it after all of that rough but promising history, and I'm so curious to see what they can finally do. They will play with much less pressure, that's for sure. After all these World Cup qualifier campaigns just falling short, they're going to enjoy this moment for sure, but they will make sure to be one of the toughest teams to break down. Their defensive excellence is not going to be easy for sides all over the world that choose to underestimate Uzbekistan's golden generation. But Uzbekistan, congratulations for finally doing it. I could not be happier for you guys, and best of luck in North America, truly. They are already one of my underdogs to watch without even knowing the groups yet. How far do you guys see them going though? And will they be a genuine threat at the world's biggest stage? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below as always. Thank you all so much for making it to the end of this video. Big up Uzbekistan, and best of luck to your country if you have yet to qualify for the World Cup. Anyway, take care. La Noche.